So the other day, I once again absolutely could not help myself, and I bought another coral. Now the coral that I got, it's another Euphyllia or Fimbriphyllia, whatever you want to call it. I'm pretty sure torch corals are still part of the Euphyllia family, and then hammer and frog spawns are Fimbriphyllia, whichever way, either it's that way or the opposite way. But either of the ways, I have a new torch coral. I'm absolutely excited for it. I spent a little too much money on it, but although it's not the most colorful, it's not the Dragon Soul torch coral that I could have gotten for the same price. It is gonna stand out in my reef, and that's all that matters. I wanted something that's just gonna bring life to the corner of the tank where I can't really put anything else. Torch corals, they like high flow. Frog spawn and hammers like a little less flow. This corner of my tank is pretty high flow. That's why I've dedicated it to torch corals. In the current video, you can see I have a little frog spawn on the rock. But I ended up just moving that. I didn't really like it there anyways. Although it looks good, it's a great filler, and it is probably one of my fastest growing corals. I still just want that to be Torch Coral Island. So we're gonna go ahead and get a nice little dip going here. You can see a coral through the water. It's pretty small right now. It's a nice little pink torch. Getting into the dip process, I'm not very good at it anymore. See, this coral was just a little too large for my dipping container, so when I dipped it, I kind of did mash it a little bit, and it wasn't the happiest with the dip. Usually when I dip corals, they do get a little upset, but not this upset. And I think I kind of cut all of the tips off of the polyps, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. Now, I know it does have the frag plug on it. I couldn't get the frag plug off. I really put all of my strength into it without risking, damaging the coral or smashing the polyps. And even with all that effort, I just couldn't get it off. I brought a nice pair of shears to it. I tried breaking off all the glue around the base. Whatever glue they're using, it is a great reef glue. Definitely not the reef glue that I'm using. It works, but you can see the massive drop in the water, and I finicked with this coral for a long time trying to get it down, even with the frag plug. Oh, your rocks have all kinds of hair algae on it. That's why it's not sticking. Maybe true, but, I did place the coral in a spot where there wasn't hair algae, and hopefully the hair algae goes away. I'm growing a nice little garden right now. And here we are. Now you can see the torch coral is in. It's a little unhappy, maybe a little more than a little, but we'll see how it looks tomorrow. Hopefully it extends nice and big, it gets nice and healthy, it stays a nice $100 coral. This coral turns into a little dead $0 coral, I'm gonna be pretty hurt. But just like that, the next day, as you can see, there's these little brown rings along all of the tips of the polyps. I think I did that when I was dipping it. I think I kind of smashed it and I cut it. This really struggled with it for a while. There was bleaching. It was not looking very good. For some reason, I decided not to record it. But now it is finally opening up, especially next to that other one. And here's a little clip from today, which is probably about 2-3 days after adding the torch coral to the tank. As you can see, it's starting to open up. It's starting to look like the other corals in the tank. I think it had to adjust to the parameters. I also did a little water change, and I started dosing all for Reef. I've been dosing all for Reef, but I got a lot better at dosing it every single day. And I think that this coral is going to be just fine, even with the rough dipping process. It's a nice little filler coral, and although I wouldn't really call it a filler coral, since all these corals are absolutely beautiful, it did fill up that spot really nice. The colorations are going to go real great with all of the other corals. And hopefully I can get my torch coral garden going. It's a little harder to get a torch coral garden on a budget. Most of my other corals, as you can see, they're really small, damaged, not doing too well. I got them all for really good prices. I would say about over 50% of my corals were under $50. The torch corals, there is no exception. They're just really expensive, but they are one of the most sought after corals in the hobby, and for clear good reason. Every time somebody comes over, I ask them, hey, what's your favorite coral? They all go straight to the torch coral. Now I'm gonna take this as good as time as any to kind of explain the elephant in the room. and I know I have a lot of hair algae on the rockwork. I mean, it's no secret. Anywhere you look in the tank, you just see hair algae all over the rockwork. Why don't I do anything about the hair algae? Hey, take your rock out, scrub it, do something about the hair algae. I have done stuff about the hair algae so many times that I have learned just to kind of deal with it. And although nobody really likes hair algae, nobody likes the way it looks, if hair algae can grow in your tank, that means that you do have nitrate and phosphate, and my corals absolutely need that stuff. Especially the Euphyllia, they actually seem to be opening up more with a little bit dirtier water, and I have heard this in some other videos. Is it the most visually appealing thing? No. Is it completely on purpose? Absolutely not. Am I leaving it there on purpose? I would say so. I really want to learn what is causing the algae, and with no dosing, I kind of need to just let it sit and see how it goes away, what changes I make that make it, deteriorate. And overall, we made a lot of good progress. It does look better than it looked in previous months for sure. I started siphoning the sand bed, and it kind of restarted the cycle on the sand bed. I wouldn't really recommend it, even though I needed to. I'm not sure. I'm still learning just like everybody else. That's going to be about it for this video. If you enjoyed at all, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. It makes my day, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.